Jin-Lee was humiliated by his wife's family. He had married the daughter of a wealthy household, but not out of love. Both families were rich, and the match was convenient. Yet his mother-in-law despised him. She saw him as weak, useless, and without talent. There was another man, Ming Hao, a family friend. He was admired for his skill and ability, and even Chin-Lee's mother-in-law once admitted she regretted not marrying her daughter to him instead. Ming Hao hated Chin-Lee too. He even offered money to drive him away from Cha Chang-yen, his wife. But none of them knew the truth. Chin-Lee had been training in secret for 10 years. Only his own family was aware of it. Now, the day had finally come. His hidden power awakened. On the very first day, Ming Hao mocked him again. This time, Chin-Lee grabbed his hand and trusted. With a steady gaze, he declared, "Say my name right. It's Chin-Lee." The mother-in-law and sister-in-law were stunned. They had never seen this side of him. Ming Hao was furious but could not even speak, his hand trembling in pain. The mother-in-law tried to stir up a fight, but before it could happen, Tuakon's phone rang. It was bad news from the family company. Chin-Lee listened carefully. His wife worked there. This could involve her. Without hesitation, he took the phone to ask what had happened. That single act left Jotan speechless. Until this day, Troyan had always been arrogant, spoiled, and quick to humiliate Chin-Lee in public, treating him like a driver or servant. But now he carried himself with strange confidence, even authority. The mother-in-law grew nervous and told Ming Hao to handle the situation. Ming Hao acted calm, bragging that his political friends could take care of it. At Sky Eagle Company, chaos broke out. A woman was pointing at Cha Chang-yen, Chin-Lee's wife, blaming her for ruining her face with their products. She demanded 1 million in compensation. Minha stepped forward and dismissed her, saying loudly that side effects and cosmetics were normal and not the company's fault. But the woman snapped back. "The city mayor is my cousin. Are you sure you want to talk to me like that?" At once, Min Hao froze. His arrogance crumbled and fear took over. He backed away, muttering that it was no longer his problem. Then, Chin-Lee walked in. The air shifted instantly. He faced the woman and said firmly, "Give me 10 minutes. I'll fix your face." Even his wife, the only member of the family who ever cared for him, was stunned by his boldness.
Before we move forward, these videos take a lot of money and time to make. A quick like and hype will help me a ton without costing you anything. Thanks for liking fast.
Ming Hao still burned with hatred, but Chin-Lee ignored him. Cha Chang-yen, weary of all the drama, begged her husband not to stir up more trouble. But Chin-Lee only smiled with quiet strength and promised, "I'm not the same man anymore." Ming Hao stood back, watching closely, hoping this would end in disaster for Chin-Lee. Whispers filled the store. People doubted him, asking, "What can that useless man possibly do?" Then Chin-Lee raised his voice for all to hear.
He said he could heal the lady's face, but the woman didn't believe him. She called that empty talk and brushed him off. Chin-Lee didn't back down. He said if he failed, he would cut off his own private part. The woman smiled and warned him not to blame her for being ruthless later. That meant she agreed to let him try. His wife was upset by this deal. She said that part of him was not just his, and Chin-Lee pulled her close to calm her. He explained how the blisters came about and asked her to help make the medicine. She trusted him, but Chin-Lee admitted there was no promise that it would work. The woman went to get the ingredients her husband asked for. Lu started shouting, saying the whole thing would get him into trouble. Chin-Lee turned to Lu and said if Lu could heal her, he should do it. Soon, the owner of the company returned with everything Chin-Lee had requested. But Chu worried out loud and said if things went wrong, the Chu family would stay clear and not get involved. But he needed to act now, so he took all the ingredients, started grinding them, and used his power to open the bottle and fill it with energy. Chin-Lee finished preparing the bomb with excitement and announced that it was ready. He walked to the girl smiling and asked if he could apply it to her pimples to help her. But the solution looked awful. It was hot and disgusting. Pinched her nose and put a little of the solution on her face. Chin-Lee grinned and spread out much more. The girl looked sick to her stomach and ran toward the bathroom, ready to throw up. Lu and the others kept mocking Chin-Lee, calling him crazy. Suddenly, a scream came from the women's bathroom where the mayor's daughter was. She stepped out, and her face was totally clean. The entire room went silent. Now, not a single word came out. Too embarrassed to admit how wrong they had been, the mayor's niece bowed slightly, her voice trembling with both gratitude and fear. Thank you, she whispered.
Chin Li calmly explained the truth. The problem hadn't been the product at all. It was the woman's own body temperature. Even his wife, Chuck Ching-yin, looked at him in disbelief. How did you do it? She asked softly. I studied pharmacology, Chin Li replied. The mayor's niece. Can you cure any disease? That depends, Chin Li said firmly. I need to see the patient first. My uncle is gravely ill. If you can cure him, I'll pay you $500,000. Without hesitation, Chin Li nodded. I accept. His wife gasped. You're crazy. You can't just go treating sick people. You're not a doctor. If anything happens, I'll handle it myself. Moments later, they arrived at the hospital in Young City. Inside, Liu Zhao, the mayor of Young City, stood speaking with a doctor. His condition is terrible. At this point, surgery would be extremely risky. Beside them stood the mayor's cousin, the same niece whose face Chin Li had healed. My uncle's in the ICU. His condition worsened this morning. The doctor says there's nothing more he can do. She quickly introduced Chin Li. This man is a specialist in Chinese medicine. Please, maybe he can help. Is he really a doctor? Chin Li met his gaze calmly. Yes, you're so young. Let me see your medical diploma. I don't have one, Chin Li answered plainly. What? No diploma? How dare you think you can treat my father without a license? Are you out of your mind bringing him here? She looked at Chin Li with guilt and whispered, Maybe you should go. At the very moment, the door to the ICU burst open. The vital signs are extremely weak. Come quickly. Everyone turned toward the nurse, their faces filled with shock and dread.
Liu Chang's heart pounded as he saw his father lying motionless on the stretcher. What's happening to my father? He shouted. I've tried everything. Beside him, the mayor's niece begged, Please, Liu Cheng, let Chin Li see him. Maybe he can help. Never! I will never let someone so young treat my father. Chin Li stepped forward. I can save him, but it has to be now. There's no more time to waste. Get out! Chang roared, his voice shaking the room. Chin Li didn't flinch. Then, let's make a bet. I don't want anything from you, Chang spat. What could I possibly gain from betting with someone like you? The bet is simple, Chin Li said calmly. If I save him, you owe me an apology. If I fail, I'll go to jail. Gasps filled the room. Both cousins pleaded, Chin Li, stop! Just leave, you're insane! Chin Li nodded once. Fine, I'll leave, but you'll regret it. He stepped out into the hallway. His wife was waiting there. The first thing she said cut like a blade. Why are you acting so foolish? Go home. Stop embarrassing yourself. Then, a sharp, dreadful sound pulled his eyes back to the room. The flat, piercing tone of the electrocardiogram. The patient's vitals were crashing. What's happening to my father? Bring the pacemaker, the doctor ordered. But before the nurse could return, the machine let out a long, steady beep. The heartbeat had stopped. He's gone, the doctor said quietly, his face heavy with sorrow. No! Liu Chang fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He was alive just minutes ago. I didn't take care of him. I didn't spend enough time with him. Suddenly, the door slammed open with a loud bang. Ching Li strode back in. Step back, he commanded. He can still be saved. Everyone froze as he pulled out a set of thin, shiny needles from inside his coat. 10 years ago, an immortal had taught him these techniques. For a decade, he had trained in silence, enduring mockery, waiting for this moment. Energy surged from his body, visible and powerful. Before placing the final needle at the man's neck, 10 years of patience, it was worth it. The patient's body jolted, then he coughed violently, spitting up blood. Suddenly, he was breathing again. Father! Liu Cheng cried. Tears of relief fell from everyone's eyes. Jing Li exhaled deeply, his shoulders finally relaxing. I saved him just in time.
The doctor stood frozen, his mouth wide open. How did you do that? The old man, who blinked weakly, then smiled at his niece. Don't worry, child. I'm sorry for making you worry so much. Lee stepped back, his task complete. With a faint smile, he turned to leave the room quietly. But before he could take a step further, he heard Liu Cheng's voice behind him. The mayor had fallen to his knees, tears still on his face. His voice shook as he called out,